Hey everyone, it is Monday, January the 6th, heading into 2025. And this is just a little video to encourage going forward in the course of this year. The main part of the video will be at the end, which is about life streams or being on the record groove of your choice. But I got a few things to just go over before we get there. Most of the rest of this video is going to be audio. It's just easier for me to upload and put up here, but I just wanted to come out first and say hello and let you know all is fine heading into 2025. And yeah, we'll discuss the few topics coming up. So, what to share about going into 2025? I guess um, one of the things I've already started to notice, and you're going to probably notice this more and more, is that there's going to be more discussion about the soul trap, more discussion about exiting the matrix, more discussion about reincarnation. And I think you're going to be seeing more and more distortion put out around this topic. A few years ago, there was very few people talking about this stuff. Like if you go back 5 years or longer, Wayne Bush was, of course, he's been talking about this for 25 years. On his site, Mark was talking about it on Forever Conscious and a few other places. But that idea was really not brought up. My book came out in 2022, and I already began to start. And I'm going to talk about some of the distortion and strange stuff that's happened over the last few years. But my sense is now, after Empty the Cave has come out, now that that new book is out and available and presents a really different take on this entire reality and the understanding of who and what you are, I think a lot of it either, I think that book's going to be attempted to be ignored, which I've noticed. There's, unlike when Exit the Cave came out, Empty the Cave has kind of been really not discussed. The subjects in there are not wanting to be touched because they're subjects that the egoic self doesn't want to have to admit. But I've already started to notice, and I'm going to notice more, probably, that there will be more discussions in this topic area, and they will be on a wide variety of stuff, on things that on the surface will sound kind of plausible, but if you follow them, my sense will be it will just waste time. It'll waste time. Because, like I say, I've noticed a lot of, well, there's been a lot of theft as well of my material, actually. And like I've talked about, there's never a problem with, part of the reason of writing a book or putting material out is you're sharing the next step of evolution. You document and footnote where your material came from, and you pass it on to the next people with the hope that they'll go further, that they'll take it to a different place, that they will, again, footnote their sources. But this idea of footnoting any of your sources is, of course, but that's just one level of what I mean is there's been, since Exit the Cave came out, there's been a lot of material that's been stolen and sold on underground markets, sold to promote somebody's course or lectures or whatever, as if somehow I am, what's the word I'm looking for? Somehow I'm in agreement with what they're doing, or as if I'm recommending them in some way. Just, I'm not, right? I'm not recommending anybody. Everybody here knows Wayne Bush, Mark at Forever Conscious, they've done some good work. There's a few other people that are doing good work, but I tend to say those are the names, those are the people I suggest. Beyond that, go out, look for who you want and think for yourself. Anyone else who's kind of trying to make it seem like I'm somehow promoting them, I'm not, obviously. I don't doubt we may see more and more of this going forward, not just from me, but from others. And so just pay attention. Pay attention to what you're seeing. All right. For the start of 2025, of course, if you look at the last 3 weeks, it's already been a bizarre news cycle. First, you had this drone story, which for a while was blasted everywhere in the news. You couldn't go anywhere in the news without the mainstream media talking about it. And then it's like a switch was flipped, and it's like, oh, everyone's forgotten about it. Well, yeah, we don't want to talk about it anymore. First of all, the story is not over. Whatever that was like act one of a much longer process. And I expect that somewhere you're going to see act two. You're going to see the next phase of whatever it is whatever game they were playing there, you will see act two. We've seen another act of a different interconnected theater production in these car incidents on January 1st in the United States. Because again, these are stories that all you have to do is examine them a little bit, and you start to see just things that are just nuts in the storyline. And it's like some of it was so nuts. It's like they're on a day by day attempt to control the message, control the narrative. The narrative, like every day, is spinning more out of control, and then they try to throw something else, either to spin it more out of control or bring it back in control. It's indicating these two combined pieces together, whether they're specific directed, whether they're leading directly ahead in the theater production, it's certainly indicating a very chaotic period. That we're moving into it's indicating we're moving into a very chaotic period that's going to be very fluid. That things will be happening at a pretty fast speed, and you'll go to bed with thinking one thing, you'll wake up in the morning and you could be in a whole new paradigm, and then that could happen again. You go to sleep that night and then wake up and you're a whole new paradigm again. So it's going to be a lot this year of my sense of is being able to be very flexible. And the more rigid you are in your beliefs, the more rigid you are in the way things have to be, the more rigid you are in your demands of reality, the more challenging it's going to be to, in a sense, as reality flows, you might say your consciousness is going to have to flow a bit with it. All right, here's the main part that I wanted to share. And it's theory. Like most of what I say, everything I say generally is an opinion. It's a theory. It's my own experiences. But this is considering the idea when it comes to exiting the matrix, that the character in the dream, the thing that everyone has thought that they are, and majority of you still believe that you are, that particular character within this reality is following a life script. I called it a life stream earlier, but a life script. And it's not one continuous life script that you're living. My sense is there might be 1,000 life scripts that are built into the system, into your particular individual possible storyline, and those things can shift. I saw it happen in my own life. I definitely saw elements now from finishing my recapitulation years ago that I could see where you might say a life stream that was one area moved to another one. Now, that doesn't mean you're in control of your life. It does not mean that you are wonderfully sitting in free will and you're making all these decisions. It's all part of a life script. All of it. From what you had to breakfast today to sitting here listening to this now to whatever you're going to do after this, it's on the script. It's script. It's literally a script. You have to follow the script as best you can, and you have to try to navigate the script. So there's no free will in the script. There's no way to go off a script. You have 1,000 of them. of choices. You can choose which record groove you want playing. That's your choice. What I think is interesting is there is one record groove. There is one life script that has been built in to every character's possibility, which is the life script of exiting the matrix, exiting the cave. There is one. So there might be 1,000 that are all have the end destination of getting loosh harvested and then sucked back into this thing, but there's one. There's one that dissolves all of it in the course of walking it. Dissolves, of course, even the thing that is walking with the result of exiting the matrix. That is the only choice we are making in our life experience. Which life script are we walking? Now, for the average person who is making these decisions, they're, of course, and logically so, I did it for a long time, I like trying to pick one of the life scripts that you think is going to lead you to a more enjoyable life. Out of the 1,000, let's say 100 would be fairly enjoyable lives. Let's say, because I think it's more preponderance here to, of course, to the suffering side. So let's say there's 250 that would be really bad. And then you've got kind of like in the 600 range that are, okay, not so great, kind of average, kind of difficult. Okay. And what people are doing in key decision moments, and how I consider it what a key decision moment is like, and you have to be kind of older for this one, but when you would see trains, particularly when trains used to run more, when that was a more passenger option. It still is a bit in Europe, but back in the old days when they even still had locomotives, and when a train would come to a place where it would fork off, where it could go two different directions, there was a switch point, and that switch point, let's say if it was up, you went left; if it was down, the train would go right. It would move the track onto which area it was moving, so that a train could come to the point, and then depending which direction they had to go, as long as it's a switch, right? I think that's what it's called. Depending on where the switch was, would determine which way the train would go. And there are certain moments in our lives where there is the opportunity to change to a different life script, change to a different life stream. And if you don't like your life, for some reason, if you don't like it, that's what you're looking for. When is this moment when it's like, hey, it's a switch point. I have to flick the switch now, and I'll be moving in a different direction. I'll be moving on a totally different timeline. And the more you begin to recognize this, the more you can start moving around on these different scripts. And to the archons, they're all equal. The archons don't care really which of the 1,000 you've chosen, whether one's a little bit better for you or a little bit worse, whether this one you get married and you have kids, or this one you don't, or this one you're dying on the street under a bridge when you're this age, or what, they don't care. Just that you're on one of their scripts, because the end result wins for them. You just get recycled back into this thing. There's one life script built in that takes you out of here. And all that has to be done is locate the life script, or locate when the opportunity for that life script appears, and then take it with no questions asked. And every time there's a switch point where you could get off that path, where you could be usually tempted to get off of it, but in many cases frightened to continue because it's so hard, it's so difficult. So they've given you something easier or something different or whatever, that you just, once you've got the exiting the matrix stream, you stay on it and you just allow it to unfold, and it will work out. So the job is, well, if exiting the matrix is your goal, am I on that life stream? Am I on that life script that I need to be on? And that's why the first part of my book, or a big part of the book, this message, Empty the Cave, is about what's called getting your house in order. You have to get to know the character you play unbelievably well, and you have to allow certain minor life stream, and let's say there's, and there could, I mean, I could be oversimplifying it. There could be 1,000 life scripts, but you could potentially be like in between them. So you could be like maybe even between life 447 and 448. There's like a 447A, and you can literally slightly move even to minor. They're all allowing minor adjustments to happen. That's really what getting your house in order is. For a while, is you're choosing life streams that are getting the character better completely understood and better being able to have consciousness, one's awareness, unbelievably clear to be able to be still enough to recognize what's going on. It's not about being present in the moment or living life wonderfully. It's about being able to be clear enough to know what's going on, why it's going on, and to know which train track should you be on if a switch moment is happening. Is to be aware enough that I'm at a switch moment, and then to be able to very quickly ascertain that the situation that exists and decide, do I want to switch? Do I want to make the switch to a different life stream? Do I want to make the switch to a slightly different life script? And again, if for the average person, it's going to be just, does this give me a more enjoyable life? And there's nothing wrong with that. But if your message is, if it's to exit the cave, to exit the matrix, then it's finding that one pathway. And that's one of the reasons it's so difficult to exit the matrix, because there's only one life script to do. Again, it's a theory, but it feels very, very true to me. I found that life a number of years ago. There was a particular moment, and I made a pretty intense choice, but I made it. And I've kept walking that road ever since. And it's been difficult. It's been really, really difficult. You're not going to get to such a switch moment from happy moments, first of all, because if you're enjoying it here, you're not planning on exiting the cave. It's not going to happen. So you've had to have difficulty in your life. You've had to somehow along the way chosen one of the life scripts that's difficult to even get to that potential switch point. They're over on one side of the other, the possibility where you can veer off to this one. And then once you get on such a path, it's going to be challenging. That doesn't mean it's going to be horrible or awful. It could, sure. But it's structured a particular way for the character that you are playing in this particular simulacra video game, that it's built for the character, for certain things to occur, for, you might say, for the character to check off its totality and eventually end its experience in this realm. And that's the job, certainly for 2025, I think, for people, is just, are you on that stream? Did you find it? And don't assume you're on it. It's more than likely the average person is still on the pathway to finding it. You're maybe much closer than you were several years ago. You've probably maybe jumped several life scripts to get from, number 527 to 804 or something, and maybe it's number 895 or whatever, but it's like you're closer to it. But assume you may still have a few more of these jumps and movements and these switches that have to happen. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for this moment of, and it's hard to say what it is. It's not like, oh, I'm quitting my job and taking this other job. They're not major marker signs often like that. They are often choices of what's important to you within. They're often choices that make you have to say, I can say my life, that would have to say, this is what's important about how this character needs to live. And so the character is going to live that way, even if it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. even if logically it doesn't really, if I explain it to a good friend of mine, they're going to look at me like, that sounds really strange. But within, we know, this is a shift that has to happen for something much bigger to occur, for some sort of possibility to happen. And then you're hoping that maybe you're on that pathway. And I think once you get it, once you get on that path, certainly if you're looking for an exit the cave life script, I think once you get on it for a while, there'll be a recognition of, well, I think I'm on it now. I think this is it. I think this is the direction now. And that exit the matrix life script is going to require you to drop a lot of stuff. A lot of the stuff that would be in all of the other lives, a lot of the stuff. Remember, I've experienced various parallel lives, not just this one. So I've experienced multiple life scripts, multiple life streams, even though the character sitting here hasn't lived them in this particular life, but I've accessed what this character's gone through in other iterations of being in this realm, in this body, in this experience. And most of what's in all of those other lives that I've ever lived don't exist in the one I've been living for the last 30 plus years. This particular time frame of my life is utterly unique from anything I've seen in all the other ones. In the stuff that was prior to, say, 30 or 35 years ago, it was quite similar in them all. So I got a sense, that's why I got a sense of where this switch point to walking the life script of exiting the cave is, or was for me. And while it was a big moment, it's not as big when it happens. It's like the bigness of the moment starts to be realized like 6 months later, 8 months later, and you start to realize, wow, that was actually a big decision I made there. It didn't seem like it at the time, but it was. And then the job becomes, how well can you just follow the life script that takes you out of the matrix and not get jumpy, not get, I don't like this one's not fun, I'm not having as much fun in this one, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. It's like, but exiting the matrix for each person, question in quotation marks, right? Each consciousness in a body in the matrix will have its own particular challenging journey out of the matrix. And it will be unique, totally unique for your character. So the point being is you have to locate that. And you have to be okay with how that's going to be walked. And you have to be okay that it's not going to be like anyone else's, and it's probably not going to make you a lot of friends. It's probably not going to make you very popular. It's probably not going to be, you're probably not going to wake up every morning overjoyed with the day you're going to have necessarily. Except at a very deep, unexplained part of yourself, you feel unbelievably content and unbelievably calm with the direction that you're moving. Unbelievably, you get more and more clear with where you're headed. But you have to get your house in order. If that house is not in order, if you are out of balance, if you're not in some sort of general energetic harmony, if your mind is not clear and calm and able to allow a deeper consciousness to view things and not have it through a massive distorted filter, the odds of you finding the pathway to exit the matrix is very low. Therefore, generally, that's job one for everybody. Get your house in order. Get through your traumas. Get through your difficulties. Get through where you're held up. Get through where your mind is a problem. Get through where you're stuck. Because a life script is simply a record groove. Again, old metaphor, where once the needle gets onto the song of a record, it's just going to play until the song is over. And if there's another song, well, it'll go to the next one, it'll go to the next one. It literally has to be picked up and moved to a different place to hear a different song. So picking the needle up, in a sense, is That's changing a life stream. The last song possible on a record in this metaphor is the exiting the cave one. And all you have to do is let the needle play its way around the groove, around the groove, around the groove, play the song, play the song, play the song until it reaches the end. There's no more songs. There's no more songs. And you're not playing it on one of those repeating phonograph machines where once you hit the end, it automatically picks it up and moves to the beginning. This is one of the machines where if you reach the end, the actual end of all the songs, it just turns off, it just stops. That's the metaphor. That's the metaphor to keep in mind. That's what we're doing here. We're looking to find that last life script, that last song, the one that the entirety of this existence wants you to ignore, wants you one way or another to make a choice on any of the other possible songs on that record, right? There's 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is, but it's like, just pick one of these. Just drop it down and go ahead. Off you go. But once you've got that last one, once you've got the one that gets you out, again, it's not enjoyable necessarily. It can be fulfilling. It can be rewarding. You can feel, if part of it is to share it with others, that life script you might never share any part of it with anyone else ever again. That life script might require you to just do the work privately and never even let your spouse or your kids know about it. Your life script is your life script and it'll be built for you. All you have to do is be comfortable with it, recognize where allowing that song to finish will take you, and then just let it take you there. Just let it take you there. So that's what I wanted to share going into 2025. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else really to bring up. That's about it. I have no interview scheduled. I have no other talk scheduled. I'll come here every still month or two and share something like this with you. We're going through on my locals channel some various texts that we'll be reading together and discussing. But I want the message of Empty the Cave to start reaching people and have them start thinking about it for themselves, discussing about it within, and seeing if any of that discussion will actually make it to the internet or not. I don't know. We'll see. So, yeah, let's see what 2025 holds for everybody. Best wishes.